Good evening and welcome to TiVi Tuan-san News at 6. My name is Khanh Linh. In today's news, Iraqi forces began assault to retake Mosul from Islamic State. The United States and Britain call for an immediate and unconditional ceasefire in Yemen. And at least 21 people killed as flooding hit central Vietnam. To today's top story, a military operation to recapture the Iraqi city of Mosul from so-called Islamic State has begun, Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi said this morning on state television. The announcement came just hours after an Iraqi aircraft flew over the city and dropped tens of thousands of leaflets to warn residents of the imminent attack. Mosul, Iraq's second largest city, has been under IS control since June 2014. The UN has warned that the humanitarian impact could be enormous and affect up to 1.2 million people. In other world news, the United States and Britain have called for an immediate ceasefire in Yemen, urging warring parties in the country's civil war to end the violence. The demand follows heavy criticism after a Saudi-led airstrike on a funeral gathering killed 140 people and wounded more than 520 others over a week ago. Fighting between Iranian-backed Houthis and Yemeni government, which is supported by Gulf states, has lasted more than 18 months. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said a special envoy to the UN would work through the details and announce when and how the ceasefire would take effect if Yemen's opposing sides agreed to the truce. The United States say they have detected a failed North Korean test launch of an intermediate ballistic missile. The test firing is the latest in a series conducted by North Korea in violation of United Nations resolutions. In a statement, the Pentagon said that the U.S. military had detected a failed Mosul missile launch conducted near North Korea's northwestern city of Tuan-san. It provided no details on what went wrong, but said the launch never posed a threat to North America. Pyongyang is already under heavy international sanctions over its missile and nuclear test. North Korea also conducted its fifth nuclear test last month and in all has launched more than 20 ballistic missiles this year. Meanwhile, China has today launched its latest manned space mission, taking 2 astronauts into orbit. The astronauts will spend a month aboard in a space laboratory as part of a broader plan to have a permanent manned space station in service around 2022. The Shenzhou 11 blasted off on a Long March rocket from a remote launch site in China's Gobi Desert. To news in Vietnam. At least 21 people have been killed by floods in Vietnam's 4 central provinces in the past week, and 8 are still missing, the government said on Sunday, amid preparations for another tropical storm to hit the country. 15 of the victims were in Quang Binh province, the region expected to be hit by Typhoon Sarika by Wednesday. Deputy Prime Minister Trịnh Đình Dũng urged authorities in 22 coastal provinces to reinforce key infrastructure projects and prepare evacuation plans, and assured them the government would provide food relief in flooded areas. Around 500,000 people have been displaced and more than 100,000 houses submerged and damaged by floods, according to a government report. Vietnam's Ministry of Health has confirmed 2 more women have been tested positive for the Zika virus. The women from Ho Chi Minh City are the 6th and 7th native cases to have been reported with the mosquito-borne virus this year. Local media reports the 2 patients are in stable condition and are being treated and monitored at home. The ministry has directed local health authorities to enact preventive measures while tracking those suspected of showing symptoms of the condition. Meanwhile, 70 photos taken by journalist Nguyễn Mỹ Trà during her journey to Spratly Archipelago are being exhibited in Ho Chi Minh City until Thursday. The photos were selected from her album while visiting Spratly Archipelago and platform DK1 in Vietnam's southern continental shelf in June 2016. At the opening ceremony on Saturday, a miniature of a lighthouse in Song Tử Tây Island of Spratly Archipelago was unveiled. The lighthouse sculpture is made of a mixture of white glass fiber fabrics and a black sand. It is engraved with the sentence Spratly and Paracel archipelagos belong to Vietnam, in English, Chinese, and Vietnamese. Back to news in Australia. Racing Victoria chairman David Moody has stood aside from his position following an integrity probe, rocking the industry in the lead-up to the $6.2 million Melbourne Cup. According to a statement by RV, the investigation relates to a matter that has been reported to Racing Integrity Commissioner South Perna. Local media reported Moody was being investigated over allegations of impropriety relating to inappropriate disclosures of information. Moody took over as chairman in May last year after President Robert Rosen's sudden resignation in the wake of an internal audit. The 156th running of the Melbourne Cup is on November the 1st. Meanwhile, the Australian government is expected to officially hear from Chinese authorities today about the fate of several staff from James Parker's Crown Resorts who have been detained in China. Last week, Crown Resorts said 18 of its employees were arrested by Chinese authorities on alleged gambling-related offenses. If convicted, they could face up to 10 years prison as China's anti-corruption crackdown hits the gaming industry. The arrest follow a crackdown announced by China's Ministry of Public Security last year on foreign casinos targeting Chinese citizens. Gambling is illegal in mainland China, except through state-sanctioned lotteries, creating a market for casinos overseas to lure high rollers to their shores. That's all from TV Tuan-san News at 6. I'm Khanh Linh. Thank you very much for your company.